There we go. So that side. All right, Shalom. This is the ISUPK on the Commanding General Yohana. Today's class is the Monday history class. Today, myself, captain of 10,000 Parashia, is going to be taking over the class this week. But usually, this class is done by Officer of 5,000 Karafia. For those of you that don't know, there is a school in the UK. The address is 394 Lodge Road, postcode B18 5PW. And this school is located, of course, in the city of Birmingham, where we teach classes. 1 second. Yeah. So in this school, we teach classes 3 times a week: Monday, Wednesday, and a Thursday. Then there's 2 other classes that are done online. So they're not in the school on Tuesday and Friday. So you got the Tuesday Brotherhood class done by Officer of 50 Tazapwan, and the Friday language class done by Officer of 50 Shamgar out of London. So in today's history class, we're going to get into Islam. And a lot of things what Muslims say in this class, in this history class, we're going to show you history books, references, and things that you can look up yourself as well. All right. So at the moment, no one's in. If you can hear me, give me a give me a 1. Just let me know you're in, and we'll take it from there. Yeah. All right. 1 second. There is actually a spot. Ain't no sweat. So see who's in. All right, we've got 4 watches so far. All right then. All right, so today's history class is going to be a PowerPoint presentation. All right, so we're going to get into it in 1 second. Jeez. All right then. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right. So I'm gonna go into the screen share. So for those of you online, if you can see it, please let me know. Okay. All right. So this PowerPoint presentation was a lecture I did. This is about 2019, and it's called Real Black History. So this was done in the time of Black History Month in the UK, and it's called Exposing Islam. The Quran is tampered, and it has the date when it was done, and it was done at this same location, 394 Lodge Road. So if you could, Quatzar, if you could read this for me.
Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6, King James Bible. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
And let's break that down, man. Why are so many black people into Islam? Because we're destroyed for a lack of knowledge, man.
Right.
It's nothing deep. It's nothing that, the Quran has something that the Bible does not have. Just we are a people destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
That's right.
We think we know something and we don't, man. Read on.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Thou shalt be no priest to me.
And there you go, man. Because we rejected the knowledge of the Lord and the Lord said, we shall be no more priests unto him. Do you know what that means? Instead of us being priests of the Most High, we're going to be Muslims in the mosque, man.
Right.
We're going to be Christians in the church. And God's saying, this is what happens when we reject him.
That's right.
Read on.
Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God I will also forget thy children.
So what happened? As a nation, we forgot the Lord, and the Lord forgot us, man.
Right.
Hence why we can get suckered into a religion called Islam, man.
Right.
Hence why we can get suckered into Rastafarianism and all kind of religious denominations. Why? Because we are a people that is rejected from our God, man. So let's read on. So now I can read some of this as well, right? So now this lecture went over some Muslim claims that they make. So what's some of the claims? The Quran is written in heaven and is eternal. The Quran is perfect, unchanged, without contradiction, and has never been tampered with. So a lot of Muslims you meet, this is what they will say. They go, listen, the Quran has been preserved, never been changed, not a vowel, not a dotting, not a thing, man. And then the last claim, Muhammad is the last prophet that came with the final message. So in today's class, we're going to show and prove none of these claims are true and how unlearned and sheltered Muslims are. Black people have been fed lies for hundreds of years by Islam. And that's the truth, man. They make so many claims, and these claims have fogged the minds of the chosen people of God, man.
Right.
Made us believe that the Bible was some wrong book. Meanwhile, in the mosque, you're reading that wrong book, man.
Right.
Let's get into it now. So we're gonna fly through these for time's sake. So what we're gonna cover, a Muslim ignorances of the Quran. The Quran is not the word of God. The Quran is tampered with. The Quran does have inaccuracies and contradictions. And the Mecca mystery, the mother of all, say it is. And then we're going to get into what Arabs think of black people. And the last one that matters the most, really. Does Islam benefit black people? Above all the history information, this is what matters the most. Does it benefit us as a people? And that's what we're going to get into. So basically, this man here, he's a Hamite. He's from Ghana, but his name is John Azuba, and he wrote a famous book called The Legacy of Arab Islam in Africa. And in this book, he's going into that all throughout Africa, Arabs enslaved Jews and Africans, and he's breaking down the legacy, how for thousands of years it's what they did, and they do it till this day, man. And let's see what he has to say about a lot of history that the Muslims bring out. So this is the preface, page 13. However, the focus on Muslim evidence needs to be critical. All scholarly and even so more non-Muslim students of Islam, here's the key part, should resist the temptation of treating Muslim evidence as sacrosanct or representing the whole a truth. So meaning what's he saying? Really, in the Muslim world, they ain't got history, they ain't got proof. All they do is they worship Muslim evidence as the whole truth, man. And that's why, when you see a Muslim talking so bold, he's talking that bold because he believes whatever his imam says is the truth, man.
Right.
It's just the facts. You know what I mean? It can't get any better than this. And a lot of them, they carry the lies and think it's sacrosanct. Think, nah, man. You know what I mean? This is what the Hadith say. The Quran says this. And listen, none of that is true, man.
Right.
So non-Muslim evidence is just as essential in any academic research. So we have one scholar that knows Muslims are unlearned and sheltered from real history. That's what he's saying. He's saying, listen, they treat their evidence like it's sacrosanct, like it's the best and it's the truth. And a lot of times it's not, man. So we got another book. This is another book called Questioning Islam by Peter Townsend. So this is page 2 of his book, and it goes to tweak the famous dictum by Socrates: the unexamined faith is not worth believing. So it's going to break down why Socrates said this. If you are a Muslim, you can expect me to put the case against Islam before you as honestly, accurately, and respectfully as possible. But please be careful, but please carefully weigh what I say simply without rejecting it, because it contradicts what you have been told. And that is Islam right there, man.
Right.
It's a religion, just what they've been told. And listen, none of it is true, man.
That's right.
So now we have a second scholar who knows the world of Islam is sheltered by ignorance. Can we get another one? Yes, we can, man. So this is their own books. So this book here is written by Arab Asma Hilali. So now she's writing about the earliest writings of the Quran. Yeah. And guess what? This is an Oxford book, meaning what? For those of you that don't know, Oxford, they don't teach fake history, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oxford and Cambridge University, they make a vow that, listen, any book re-release is going to be the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not like your sheikh who, he tells what he believes. They actually teach the truth, or what, you know what I mean, they have, because they believe they have a reputation to keep. So let's read it. The Ismaili Sir Adudis was published in 1977 with the objective of promoting scholarship and learning on Islam in historical as well as contemporary contexts, and fostering better understanding of Islam relationships with other societies and faiths. Now, this is the part I put in the yellow. So this is the punchline right here. Within Islamic tradition, the Institute promotes research on those areas which have to date relatively little attention from scholars. Meaning what? There's many parts of Islam that their historians don't give it no attention, man.
Right.
They ignore it. So even their own Muslim institution acknowledges that many Muslim scholars don't have a full understanding on Islam. Many areas they don't give their full attention to. So these are three historians that go, really, the Muslim world is a very ignorant community, man. So we're going to get into it. So if you could read that for me, Quasar.
What are Muslims and scholars? What are Muslims and their scholars ignorant of?
All right, so we're going to break it down, man. What are Muslims and their scholars ignorant of? So we're going to break down some of these ignorances. Let's get the first one. One Quran does not exist, man.
Right.
Listen, if you lived in the Arab world, and what do I mean by the Arab world? So Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Baghdad, Iraq, North Africa, Morocco. There is 20 days in between 26 and 31 Qurans around, man. There's not one Quran. And let me tell you something, all of these contradict each other.
That's right.
There's different passages which ain't in other ones. The verses are written in different ways. So one Quran doesn't exist. And this is what they feed to us, man, as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You got many Bibles. There's one Quran, man. There's one Quran. No, there's not, man.
Right.
Look. I mean, they say what we're making up. In the Arab world, there is 26 to 31 Qurans circulating, man. Different texts, different recites, different breakdowns on the verses. So there's not one Quran. And that is the big thing that they're ignorant of. Let's get some more. So within this presentation, we're going to go into two books. One by Tom Holland, which is called In the Shadow of the Sword. and another book by Dan Gibson, which is called Quranic Geography. Now, these two books were meshed together to make a documentary on a Channel 4. And guess what? The Muslims hate it, man. It only aired once on Channel 4, but you can watch it on YouTube. And you know what I mean? The Muslims complained on what? They never aired the show ever again, man. Why? Because it went against what they was taught.
Right.
So, this is going to the hadiths, but basically, I'll sum it up for you because we've got a lot to go through. Basically, you're taught that the Quran was made in the lifetime of Muhammad, and history shows that's a lie. That even at one point, they didn't even know what Muhammad even taught at one point in history. When you go into Baghdad and places where Islam got big before they conquered North Africa, many people didn't even know what Muhammad even taught. But we save that for another time. All right. So this is some proof that the Quran came after the life of Muhammad. So this is from Tom Holland's book, page 335. If you want to read it from your Quran.
If the Quran truly originated in the lifetime of Muhammad and had been preserved and cherished by his followers ever since as the unchanging word of God, why is it there was no Quran commentaries prior until the 9th Christian century?
So imagine that, man. You mean Muhammad died in 630 AD? The first Quran commentary, meaning someone's writing down a breakdown of a verse. You know what I mean? Someone's basically commenting on the Quran. What does this verse mean? What does that verse mean? That came in 800 AD, man.
Right.
So there's 100 odd years before the first commentary on this book even came about, man. It shows you that it's clear that in the lifetime of Muhammad, the Quran was not complete, man.
Right.
The Quran obviously wasn't around, or you wouldn't have a commentary 230 years afterwards. No, 260 years afterwards, man. Reader.
Different Muslim commentaries, communities of the faithful preserve different versions of the holy text.
All right, so we can stop there. And even in history, different Muslim communities had different preservations of the text. So in North Africa, they don't read the same a Quran as in Saudi Arabia. You can research it. They don't read the same one. There's some verses they have that the Muslims in Saudi Arabia don't have. You mean, and all throughout the Muslim world, they don't read the same book. So that's a lie that we get taught. And this is the guy here. This is the guy that done the first commentary. And look, his name is Abu Bakr ibn Amu Jahad. You know what I mean? Who cares about his name anyway? But basically, he was born in what? 859 AD and died in 936 AD. And what's the problem here? If the Quran was in the lifetime of Muhammad, why is a man in Baghdad doing a commentary? Wouldn't it be done by someone in Saudi Arabia where Muhammad lives?
Right.
This comes way after. And also this man, he put the books in the canonical order that they are in now. And this happened hundreds of years later. So it's obvious that in the lifetime of Muhammad, is either the Quran was not even around or it wasn't complete and it happened hundreds of years later. And let's get into something else. Read this to me. So this is from the same book and the same page. Reader.
The modern widely held notion that there is one single text was established only in 1924.
So imagine that. So when a Muslim comes to you, one Quran, if he was alive before 1924, he would never say that, man.
Right.
Because they knew there was different Qurans all throughout Africa, all throughout Saudi Arabia, all throughout Afghanistan, all throughout Uzbekistan. They was reading different Qurans. And only in 1924, they come together and go, you know what? We need one standard text. Reader.
With the publication in Cairo of an edition of the Quran that went to become global standard.
There you go. So meaning in 1924 in Cairo, in the land of Egypt, there was one Quran that, all the sheikhs and imams agreed, you know what? Let's make that the Quran that, every Muslim should read. But prior to 1924, they was reading different ones, man.
Right.
They had different recites. They had different interpretations. It was not the case. So now, I'll just sum this up for you. So now, many Muslims say, one Quran, but here's the thing. Where is the original Quran that Muslims talk about? According to the tradition, a man called Uthman made 9 of them and distributed them all throughout the Arab kingdom. Is this true? So now we're going to find out that, in the hadiths, this man just wrote one Quran and, he handed it out and then they lived happily ever after. Again, this is some Muslim a fairy tales here. We're going to find out historically if this happened. So what we're going to do, we're going to skip. So now, according to the 9, 6 of these are around till this day. So you got the, so these are the oldest Quran manuscripts that you'll find. So, So now, all throughout the history of this religion right here, only 2 men have ever read these. Meaning, the Muslim that is talking big, I've read it, you haven't read it. There's only 2 men on the face of the earth that have examined all 6 of these. And let's see what they say about them. Let's see if these are original and, this mythological man, Uthman, he wrote them and handed them out. So here are the 2 men. On the left, you got Ataya al-Atakulak. He's a leading scholar in Quranic studies, ex-president of Turkish religious affairs. On the right, Ekmeledin Mehmet Isanglu is a Turkish academic. So, So basically, these are the only 2 men that have ever examined these 6 Quranic manuscripts. And, found out if it's true that Uthman wrote these and these are true. So listen, if anyone knows if these Qurans are his, it will be these 2 men, right?
Right.
So let's get it. So now they wrote a book on these. In the Arabic is Al-Mushaf Al-Sharif, which in English means attributed to Uthman bin Affan. So even a book saying these Qurans, are they really Uthman's? Which is what the book is about. You know what I mean? So let's see what they said. So this is from the book. Listen to what Ekmeledin Mehmet Isangulu had to say. We have none of Uthman's Amushafs, which means manuscripts. So meaning he's saying, listen, those 6 Qurans, they're not Uthman's. Meaning someone else wrote them, man.
Right.
The hadiths that you love so much and you believe it's history, it's a lie.
That's right.
This man's like, I don't believe this is Uthman's. You know what I mean? I know in the Muslim world, this is what they tell you, but I don't really believe that, man. Then goes, nor do we have any copies of it. Meaning, listen, that Quran that you're reading, it's not even a copy of it, man. Then it goes, these Mushafs date from the later Umayyad period, and from the book, this is the section right here. In case someone thinks, it's not in the book, it's right there, man. Let's go to his counterpart. No serious scholarly work has been done on them. So saying, listen, in the past, no one hasn't really looked over these manuscripts. These Mushafs date from the early to mid 8th century. Meaning what? Uthman didn't write these neither, man. These 2 people that are the only 2 men on God's green earth to examine them, saying these ain't Uthman's, man. One man didn't write these and hand them out to Africa and Baghdad and Iraq, and you know what I mean? That's a lie, man. It goes, these are not Uthmanic, nor copies sent by him. What can I say, man? That's a lie. The hadiths that you just say, listen, there's a man called Uthman, and he wrote Qurans and he sent them here. I beg to differ, man.
Right.
I mean, the historians ain't saying this.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And now it goes into those 6 manuscripts and it breaks it down, saying that there's pages missing, people over them, all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? This is another one of the manuscripts. It goes, now, let's break down some of it, because I know some of you think I'm probably trying to avoid something. So why is it 6 reasons Uthman did not write this? Because in the hadiths, Uthman was an educated man while in writing. Let's look at this manuscript on disciplined spelling. That's one mistake. Listen, if Uthman is educated man, this Quran here, the spelling's undisciplined, meaning the person can't even write. That's number one. It's got different writing styles, meaning, hang on, one person didn't even write it. You know what I mean? Different people write in different ways. And in this Quran, this old legendary book, there's different writing styles, man. Meaning it's not even written by a person. Scribal mistakes, a copyist mistakes, meaning that's not even the original. Meaning, from looking at it, his observation is, it's clear the person that wrote this, they was copying it from something else.
Right.
And when you make a copy mistake, it's clear that it's trying to copy it from something else, and some mistakes were made, written by someone with little experience, man. That's the oldest Quran, man. And say whoever wrote this got a little experience is some dummy, man. Some idiot boy, man. He don't know what he's doing. And then it gets better with later additions, man. Only goes to Sir Aura for 43. So meaning it's not even complete. So now this is another one. This is the Ma Alil Quran, and you can find this in London. So if you go to the British Library, you can actually see it there. So it's nothing we're making up. So now, why isn't this one a Uthmanic one? It's a Hijazi script. Now, Hijazi is a type of Arabic writing, and in those days, Uthman wouldn't have written like that. In the lifetime of Uthman, the Hijazi script, it didn't even exist. So how is the oldest Quran written by this man written in a way that he wouldn't write?
Right.
That don't make no sense. Again, it hasn't got all of these auras there. 53% of the Quran, so meaning the Quran's not even complete. Meaning this here that a Muslim says it's the oldest Quran, never been changed. How would you know? Because it's not even complete. It's only got 53% of what a Muslim reads today, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it goes, listen, dates to the late 8th century. So meaning even this one, it's a joke. This is the Paris. Now, it's not because it was written in Paris. In Paris, in their museum, they've got this one here. So why didn't Uthman write this? There's corrections to the text, meaning looking at it, you can tell someone's tried to rewrite it, or, you know what I mean, rub things out, add things on. So there's corrections to the text. Now, watch this one. Disagrees with the Cairene Mushaf, meaning what? The Quran that the Muslims read now, it disagrees with it in 93 places. So meaning, if this one it predates the one you read now, then we got a problem here, man.
Right.
It disagrees in 93 places. Watch this. 5 different copyists, meaning like 5 people was writing it down, man. On this minute, it took 5 people, later modified with erasures and additions, man. Listen, man, the Quran's tampered with, man.
That's right.
You know what I mean? These men done the research, like, nah, this, you know what I mean? Something's wrong with all these. This is the Al Hussein one in Cairo. So the ones that the Muslims read now, this is the one that it originates from. Let's read. This is not Uthmanic. Dates to the 8th century. It stated that the Cairo copy might have been written in order of Abdul al Aziz, you mean whatever his name is, the governor of Egypt. However, the reason reaching this conclusion has not been explained. So, meaning, they know that Uthman didn't write it, but they don't know why it was even made. So, all that one Quran written by one man and passed down, that's a lie.
Right.
The historians that examine all these old Qurans that you have, they don't agree with you, man.
That's right.
So this is the Sinai one. I believe this is the oldest one out of all of them. So this is Karl Heinz from 1981. The Quran began to be compiled in the last 2 decades of the 7th century, with other versions continuing until the 9th century. So he's saying, listen, there was many Qurans around. There wasn't one. So now the oldest parchment of paper, Quranic, yet more than half the text is ambiguous letters, which need diacritical marks for understanding. So I know some of you don't get that, but if you read Arabic, you need marks to let you know what word you have to say, what you have to pronounce. Now, if there's no diacritical marks, you'll just have the word, but you wouldn't know what to say, man. So meaning, even on this Quran, there's no diacritical marks. So who even knows what it even means?
Right.
The diacritical marks know the pronunciation, what this word means. Because if you get those marks wrong, it can say something else.
Right.
That's how deep it is. And on the oldest one they have, there's no diacritical marks, meaning you don't even know what it says. It could say something totally different. Adding vowels help correct mistakes, changes in orthography not found, geographical traditional schools. So meaning on this Quran, it goes, someone clearly was trying to correct mistakes. So you find erasures, editing. And listen, I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to show you, man. I've got the book. I brought this book personally. This is a man called Daniel Allen Brubaker. And these manuscripts, he's seen them too. He's the third person to get his hands on them. And he took pictures of the tampering, man. And listen, man, only at the UPK, you're going to see this, man. You won't find this nowhere else, man. You know what I mean? We got the truth, man.
Right.
So now, let me break down a bit about Daniel Brubaker. So his book, you can buy on Amazon if you like. It's called Corrections in Early Quran Manuscripts. And listen, he's that merciful. He only gave 20 examples. He actually had hundreds. But for the book's sake, he just gave 20, which you can research. So in his book, he gives 20 examples of tamperings. In the Quran, he found 800. So really, he found 800 tamperings. But for the book's sake, he just put in the 20, which he believed was most significant. In all the manuscripts, he came across in assertions 24%, overwriting without erasure, meaning someone didn't even erase it. They just writ over it raw style, man. Like, you know what I mean? He found that 18%, simple erasures 10%, covering overwritten 2%, and a covering 16%, meaning what? They put a piece of paper over the words and then just writ over that piece of paper. You mean? So now he found all of this. And why don't Muslims ever say this, man? And Muslims all quick to say the Bible's a tamper with. What about all this, man?
Right.
I've read a chunk of history right here, and the Muslim just don't know. He just never seems to know about this, man. I wonder why.
Right.
So he found all these changes he found was an attempt to match him to the Cairo edition of the Quran, the global standard of a today. So I mean, he's saying that it's his guess. It's not a fact. He's saying that it seems like all this erasing and tampering, it was to make it seem like there's one Quran. So they're trying to all work together to try and, you know what I mean, make it seem like there's one. So let's break it down, man. So this is in his book. If you can see the cursor, let me know, okay? So you see corrections in early Quran manuscripts saying, so here it's highlighted a written over erasure. So meaning someone writ over it and they erased this part here. You see how that part's light? And then they put Allah in there. So meaning in that Quran, in this verse, the name Allah, it wasn't even in it. But someone writ it and they pull it in. It gives an example of an erasure right here. Look. Someone erased that. In the oldest Quran manuscripts, there's a clear erasure. Look. Let's get some more. Erasure, leaving a gap in the top a copy. So that one is in a Turkey. So that Quran is in a Turkey. So you see the arrow there? Erasure, leaving a gap. So you can see some Arabic behind it. And in the text, they've left the gap. They've just erased over what was meant to be there. You see an erasure again right here. Listen, man, the Quran's tampered with, man.
That's right.
Look at this. You don't find this in the Bible, man.
Right.
But in the Quran, you do. Here, so look. So now, this is the first word on the next page. So that's where it stops. Location of erasure. So before the first word, there was an erasure. Last word on this page. So meaning what? You mean someone erased it and they writ over it. Let's get some more inserted. So meaning that word, whatever it is in Arabic, it wasn't there, but someone put it there, man. Inserted again in this square, meaning it wasn't there. First page, erasure. So all throughout these Qurans that it's going through is clearly finding erasures and, you know what I mean, all kind of tamperings. So now I know what Muslims like to say, you know, the Quran, you're reading it in English. But let me tell you something. If a Muslim does not speak Arabic, he's told to read this one right here. It's called the Abdullah Yusuf Ali translation. So, you know what I mean? You can't get away with we don't speak Arabic because when a Muslim cannot, he's told to read this one. So, you know what I mean? Any verse we do reference, this is what we're going to use here. And this man was from India. He lived in England, and he wrote a English translation of the book here. So now these are hadiths. Now hadiths are just it's just what, you know, people said what Muhammad did, but again, there's no fact to it. So we're gonna skip through a lot of this because this is not even relevant, honestly. So in your own time, even this that listen to hadiths are just trash. You know what I mean? Muhammad's making the blind see, doing this, doing that. You know what I mean? Even historians go, it's clear that it contradicts because you know what I mean, in the hadiths, he's doing miracles, while as in the Quran, he says, I'm not a miracle worker. So you have a contradiction there. But for time's sake, it's gonna fly through. So this is a man that wrote the biography of Muhammad, and we can read this. So if you read this, I'll break it down as you read it.
The biography of Muhammad, written by Ibn Ishaq, 704 to 770 CE. The earliest author wrote this book on Muhammad 70 plus years after his death.
Okay, so again, we don't believe this, of course, but basically, there's a book called the Biography of Muhammad. So meaning 70 years after his death, you know, people were inspired by him. The biography of Muhammad, reader.
No original written by this man has been found.
So hang on now. You're throwing out the biography of Muhammad, and no original has been found. Meaning, how do you know what you're reading is even the biography of Muhammad?
Right.
If there's no original, then you don't know. Then
That's right.
that's insane. You could be reading the biography of somebody else, man.
Right.
Reading the biography of Elvis Presley, you know what I mean? You wouldn't be none the wiser.
Right.
You know what I mean, reader?
Ibn Hisham, who died in 833 CE, quotes Ibn Ishaq's work on Muhammad.
So hang on now. The man that even writ it, it's not even his. He's quoting someone else before him, Ibn Ishaq. Reader.
But openly admits that he did not transmit Ibn Ishaq's work as he found.
Oh, we got a problem here. Not Ishaq, Ibn Hisham saying he didn't translate the work as he found, meaning what? He tampered with it, man.
Right.
As he found it, he didn't write it the same way. That's not right.
Right.
Meaning what? You writ it how you wanted to write it, man.
That's right.
Reader.
He did some significant level of editorial control.
Oh, no, man. That's called tampering, man. That's called tampering right there, man. Editorial control, man. I mean, you didn't like some shit and you done the editing, man.
Right.
You got busy and started, you know what I mean? Nah, man, I don't like that right there, you know. Reader.
Or as he put it, confining myself to the prophet's biography and omitting some of the things which Ibn Ishaq has recorded in this book, in which there is no mention of the apostle, and about which the Quran says nothing, and which are not relevant.
So imagine that, man. Meaning, this is proof that the Quran came after Muhammad, because what he's saying is, in the original writing he had, the Quran and Muhammad wasn't even mentioned in the same phrase. We showed that the Quran came after Muhammad.
Right.
Because he's saying, it's like, listen, I had to edit this because, you know what I mean? It was talking about Muhammad, but the Quran, it wasn't there. Meaning they didn't even acknowledge it. Reader.
Relevant to anything in this book, the book he wrote, things which are disgraceful to discuss. Some matters will distress certain people. Al-Bakr told me he could accept as trustworthy all these things which I have omitted.
There you go, man. Meaning what? The biography of Muhammad, they omitted it, man. Meaning what? They changed it. Meaning in the one they had, there was things written about Muhammad that people wouldn't like, man. There's things written about him that it will make people look at him different. And what did they do? They omitted it, man.
Right.
Read that last part.
Islam's historical tradition is preserved with lies.
There you go, man. Even their own historians are admitting, listen, man, I edited that. I got it, but as I found it, I didn't like it. So you know what? I wrote it how I wanted it to be, man. Listen, man. So let's get into something else, man. So why would Muhammad be in the Bible? 1 second. I'm just going to put the screen share, just full screen. Bear in 1 second. Shalom, Amausa. Yeah, how about you? How should I brought up? I didn't even see it back in the speaker. All right, then. All right, let's get into it. All right, so now, why would Muhammad be in the Bible? Now, you know what I mean? A lot of us, growing up, you heard, you know, Muhammad's in the Bible. The Bible talks about Muhammad, but now, you know, if you want to, you can go in the Bible and show them not. But let's think of a logical reason why he's not in the Bible. You want to read that for me?
Why would Muhammad be in the Bible? Muhammad is only in the Quran 3 times. How great is this prophet that is in the Quran, his own book, only 3 times?
There you go. Listen, a Muslim talks highly of Muhammad. He's only in the Quran 3 times. His name is in the Quran 3 times. That is a fact. So this great man is in the Quran 3 times. So let's think about that, man. If you're in your own book 3 times, why would you be in the Bible, man?
Right.
You mean why would the Bible have to talk about you when you had your own book to shine and you're only in there 3 times, man? That's no good, man.
Right.
Reader.
Jesus is mentioned in the Bible 973 times, not even mentioning the prophecies about him.
Mm-hmm.
If Muhammad is only mentioned 3 times in the Quran, his own book, why would he be in the Bible at all? Doesn't make sense.
There you go, man. And that's just logic. Why would you be in the Bible if you're not in the Quran? The Quran is your book, man.
Right.
The Quran's where you got the revelation from Gabriel, well, so-called. You know what I mean? And you're only in it 3 times. So why would you be in the Bible? Why would you be in the book of the Hebrews, man?
Right.
Read that for me, Amos 2:11.
Amos chapter 2 and verse 11. King James Version.
It don't spell.
And I raised up of your sons for prophets and your young men for Nazarites.
Mm-hmm.
Is it not even thus, O ye children of Israel?
And then, man, Amos 2:11 brings it home that when it comes to a prophet, they can only be from the children of Israel, man.
That's right.
So you know what I mean? So don't even entertain it, man. You mean so even in Deuteronomy 18, listen, it's not talking about Muhammad, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now this is something that a lot of Muslims would never tell you. In the Quran and in the Hadith that they like to read, Muhammad has many false prophecies. So I'll sum this up for you, right? So you know what I mean? You can write these down. So Muhammad promised his followers victory when they will go to Mecca to do Umrah, which is a lesser pilgrimage. So now you have Hajj, which is the full one, you know, the rocks, and you throw the rocks and you do everything. And then you have Umrah, which is a pilgrimage, but you don't do everything. So Muhammad said, you know, his men would win. And then this is the verse here, Quran 48:27. So it's saying that, listen, like Allah's with you, you're going to go back, you're going to shave your heads. But listen, that did not happen. I'll read this last bit. He knew what you did not know, and has arranged before that a conquest is near at hand. So this is the verse where it's telling us, man, listen, you're going to go into Mecca, you're going to beat those heathens, man. You're going to beat those infidels, and then guess what? You're going to do your Umrah. That's what he told his men. But in the Hadiths, in Sahih Bukhari, chapter 3, section 50, line 891, according to the history, this is what Muhammad did. You want to read that for me?
Muhammad got scared when confronted by the Meccan forces.
Mm-hmm.
He made a peace treaty.
Yeah, so that's a prophet right there, man.
That's right.
He told his man, listen, you got this, man. You know what I mean? You're going to take Mecca. And then when he gets there, he got scared and made a treaty. That's a false prophet, man.
That's right.
He's telling that, listen, Allah's doing this, man. You're going to get there. Allah, I mean, obviously, we don't believe in Allah, but Allah knows what he did, man. You're going to get this. And then in the Hadiths, it says that never happened, man. It said it got scared and made a peace treaty and then went back to Medina. You mean that's false prophecy right there? So let's get into some interesting parts. Inaccuracies in the Quran. So this is a Surah 18 and 96 to 97. So this is talking about Alexander the Great, or in the UPK, we call him Alexander the Greek. You know what I mean? For those who don't know, he's not Greek to us. You know what I mean? So we call him Alexander the Greek. But in the Quran, it talks about Alexander the Great's life and mentions something that just isn't so not true. Read that for me, Bob. Sure.
Surah 18, verses 96 to 97. Bring me sheets of iron until when he had leveled them between the two mountain walls, he said, blow with the bellows until when he had made it like fire, He said, bring me that I may pour over it molten copper. So Gog and Magog were unable to pass over it, nor were they able to effect in it any penetration.
Now listen, this ain't hard to find. Alexander the Great had many wars, and they are documented, written down, and he never did this, man.
Right.
He didn't make no iron and a copper wars to stop Gog and Magog. Never happened. The Quran's talking about stuff that has historically not happened, man.
Right.
You can buy Alexander the Great books, biographies, people that were next to him, and this never happened, man. So when did Alexander build this great iron wall to stop his enemies in history? Never.
Right.
This is an inaccuracy. The Quran's talking about something that did not happen. There's nowhere in Alexander's lifetime where you can find this information. And believe me, his life is very detailed in books, man. So this is an inaccuracy. Let's get another one and read that for me.
Quran 34 verses 10 to 11. And we certainly gave David from us bounty. We said, O mountains, repeat our praises with him, and the birds as well. And we made pliable for him iron, commanding him, make full coats of mail, and calculate precisely the links and what and where all of your righteousness. Indeed, I have what you do am seeing.
So what's the problem here? When basically when King David fought Goliath, the Quran saying that he made what we would call today some old English a chain a mail. But there's a problem with that. You consider writing chain mail is not invented until 200 BC by the British. So how is King David wearing a chainmail?
Right.
I mean, King David's wearing something that don't exist. But here's what you don't understand: in the lifetime of Muhammad, chainmail was about, man.
Right.
And that's the problem. This book is not inspired by God. You know what I mean? That's
and he was a kid, so how's he moving in chainmail?
And he was a kid, man. Do not listen. Chainmail's heavy. You know what I mean? The UK school, we actually brought some chainmail, and that weighed that suitcase. That was like 70 kg or something.
Something like that.
It was heavy.
I could barely move.
You know what I mean? It was heavy to lift. Like even in a box, it was a struggle. And you put it on a kid, really. And also overall, it wasn't even invented in that time frame.
Right.
But when Muhammad was alive, Arabs had chainmail. So really, this ain't no revelation from God. He's just mixing the past with the modern time, which was his time of that time.
Right.
Let's get another one. Read that for me.
Quran 12 and verse 20. And they sold him for a reduced price, a few dirhams, and they were concerning him of those content with little.
So what's the problem here? They reduced the price a few dirhams. Now, for those of you who know, a dirham is a Greek currency. In the time of Genesis, where Joseph got sold to the Egyptians, they wasn't using any Greek currency.
Right.
But here's the problem: Muhammad lived at the time of the Byzantine Empire, and the Byzantine Empire used Greek currency. That's why people think it's a revelation when he's talking about the past, but it's not. He's using modern things to go along with it, because they would not be using a dirhams in that time. So that's an inaccuracy. You can't be selling him with a currency that didn't even exist in the time of Joseph, man.
Right.
Didn't exist in the time of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. So you got a problem here. This ain't no revelation from God. How is he using a currency that didn't even exist in their time?
Right.
Let's get another one and read that for me.
Quran 20 verse 71 said, you believed him before I gave you permission. Indeed, he is your leader who has taught you magic. So I will surely cut off your hands and your feet on opposite sides, and I will crucify you on the trunk of palm trees, and you will surely know which of us more which of us is more severe in giving punishment and more enduring.
So what's the problem here? He said, and I will crucify you on the trunks of palm trees. So this is talking about in the Bible, the time of Exodus. Now there's a problem here. Egyptians don't crucify people. Egyptian capital punishment, they did not crucify no one. So how are Egyptians in the Quran giving out a punishment that they don't give?
Right.
That don't make no sense. Egyptians don't crucify nobody. That wasn't even an Egyptian a punishment. You know what I mean? But here's what you don't know. Egyptians did not do the practice of crucifixion. The Romans learned crucifixion from the Canaanites. And now that's history, man. So how in the Quran, in the time of Exodus, are the Egyptians giving out a punishment which historically they did not give? We showed you again, this is not inspired by God, man.
Right.
This ain't no revelation, man. You know what I mean? It's just a madman, man. Then what's the next thing? In the Quran, and many Muslims say Christ not being crucified. And here's the problem. If you say Christ wasn't crucified, then you got to argue with all these historians that said Christ was crucified. You got Athalas 52 AD. He says that with Christ, there was a man called Christ, and the Romans crucified him. For Elian, a Roman letter, 1st century. Remember, the Romans crucified Christ. This man wrote a letter saying, listen, there's a man who the Jews thought was Christ, and he was crucified. We got Lucian, a Greek satirist. He has a book and says, listen, in Judea, there was a man called Christ. People believe this man was the king of the Jews. He was crucified. You got Amara ben Serapians. He wrote a letter and he goes, listen, there's a man called Christ. And, people say he was the Christ. He was crucified. You got Josephus in the book of Josephus. Josephus says that there was a man called Christ. People thought he was the king of the Jews. He was crucified. You got Tacitus, a Roman historian, 110 AD. He says there was a man called Christ in times past that was crucified. So how can a Muslim tell you, nah, with Christ, he didn't die on the cross? Yes, he did, man.
That's right.
I mean, these are historians that go, listen, that happened. So all these historians knew that a man who was the king of the Jews was crucified.
Right.
So the Quran is trash, man.
That's right.
You know what I mean? No, you see, what God did, he put a man that looked like Christ on the cross. You know what I mean? It's what they say, And they go, so it wasn't him. When listen, these historians are confirming that, yeah, there was a man called Christ, and they believe that this man was the king of the Jews, and he died by crucifixion, man. So can't get around it. Let's get into some contradictions in the Quran. I'm gonna fly through. I got so much information. Bear me 1 second. If you want to read this one for me.
Quran 16, verse 103. And we certainly know that they say it is only a human being who teaches the prophet. The tongue of the one they refer to is foreign, and this Quran is in a clear Arabic language.
So now here's the problem. You can read the other one, but basically what they say, the Quran is in a clear Arabic. Now, is this true? Let's break it down. So in the Quran, the famous word Injil, that's a Greek word, man. That's not clear Arabic, man. That's not pure Arabic. If there's a Greek word Injil where you get the word evangelist, if you hear that word, it's a Greek word. In the Persian, you got the word jinn. In the Quran, it's in there. So that's not a clear Arabic. In the Coptic Egypt, Atabuk or Ark, that's in the Quran. So that wouldn't make it a clear Arabic. If these people lived amongst each other, You mean these words are not their words, man?
Right.
That's not clear Arabic. In the Syriac, Aden for the word Eden, Fire One for arrow, Ura for the word chapter. These are Syriac words, man. These are not Arabic words. So the Quran is not in clear Arabic.
Right.
So that's a contradiction. And believe me, there's many more. Plagiarism in the Quran. So a lot of you don't know is with the Quran that you read, you may read something, it sounds like the Bible, but then it goes off. And so many of us wonder, well, why does it sound like the Bible, but then the story gets weird? We're gonna answer that, man. So read that for me.
Quran 8 and verse 31. And when our verses are recited to them, they say, we have heard, if we willed, we could say something like this. This is not but legends of the former peoples.
So listen, do you know what that means? Meaning, when Muhammad went to his people and was trying to quote them this history, they're like, we've heard it before, man. We've heard it of other people, of a former peoples. Meaning what? What Muhammad brought, it wasn't nothing new. The Quran saying, listen, I can't make it up. The Quran saying that when Muhammad went to his people, they were like, listen, we've heard it before, man. We heard about Isaiah before, and Moses before. It's saying it right here. You know what I mean? Read the second one.
Quran 6, verse 25. And among them are those who listen to you, but we have placed over their hearts coverings, lest they understand it, and in their ears deafness. And if they should see every sign, they will not believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they come to you are arguing with you, those who disbelieve say, this is not but legends of the former peoples.
There you go. So in two verses, the people are saying, listen, I've heard it before Muhammad, man. The people before you, they've told us these things already, man. Meaning what? Even the Quran saying it's not a revelation.
Right.
What Muhammad thought was a revelation, it clearly wasn't. Because the people are saying, listen, we've heard it before, man. Bye, Muhammad. You know what I mean? They're telling him already. So now I'll quickly fly through these. Or if you want them, in your own time, go back over this class. So as I said, in the Quran, you'll read things and you're like, where did he get that from? Well, this is what you're going to get. So in the Quran, chapter 25, verses 51 to 70, Abraham smashing his father's idols, that's not a revelation, man. It's taken from a rabbi higher in the Midrash Rabbah. You know what I mean? So basically, it was some joke, a Jewish book. And guess what? Muhammad heard that and what he thought it was true, man. You know what I mean? Nowhere in the Bible is Abraham smashing his dad's idols. But in the Quran, you'll read that and go, where did he get that from? He got it from Jew folklore, man, Jew fables.
Right.
Meaning it wasn't real. It just, you know what I mean, things that was said, but it wasn't in the Bible.
Right.
In the Quran, chapter 5, verses 30 to 35, a raven shows Cain how to bury his dead brother. Where's that in the Bible, man? I've read a Genesis quite a bit, man, and never seen that. You know what I mean? But Muhammad, he got it from somewhere, taken from the Jewish collection of myths, and fables per Rabbi Eliezer. And listen, they even have the verse, meaning it wasn't no revelation. Like, you see, the Bible has a part of it, but Muhammad got he got everything. Nah, even the fables, he took that from somebody. You know what I mean? In the Quran 27 and 20, the strange story of Sir Solomon and the queen of Sheba. So again, in the book of Kings, you read about this account. In the Quran, it goes way left. Taken from the second Targum of Esther. You know what I mean? So basically, he got that from another book. So he must have heard some Jews talking about it, and he took that. But what you're learning is none of this is revelation, man.
Right.
None of this is something, you know what I mean, he got from God. It was all, you know what I mean, Jew fables and myths and bedtime stories that they used. And of course, he just took all of it, the good and the bad. Quran 19:29 to 31 claims Christ could speak while still in his cradle. Let's find out where we got this from, man. Taken from the Arabic Gospel of the Infinity of the Savior, a 5th century writing. So some heretic Jew wrote in what Muhammad believed it, man. Why do you think it's not in the Bible? Because people knew it was trash, man.
Right.
People said, nah, that's not, you know what I mean, what was taught, man. But him taking on everything, took everything. Quran 18:10 and 22 tells a story of young people being prevented from hearing false doctrines while being shut up in a cave for many centuries. Orthodox folk talk, folk talk of the 7 sleepers of Ephesus. Meaning it's a folk talk, man. It's not real, man. It's fake.
Right.
It's folk talk, meaning it's just a fable. But again, him not being able to read and write and just being a listener, he took everything and put it in the Quran. And what, you know what I mean? It's not a revelation. He took everything, the good and the bad, and got it all jumbled up. So this is another part right here. A lot of Muslims tell you that what Abraham built the Kaaba. Now here's the problem with this. If you want to read that for me, Quasar.
Abraham's journeys have been noted by Jews and Christians. There is no evidence to support he detoured hundreds of miles south to Mecca to build a Kaaba stone. There is maps about Abraham's route. So this is ridiculous.
There, so in the Bible, before the Quran even came about, this is Abraham's route, man. When you read in the book of Genesis and Abraham went here and went back here, listen, people have the route. And nowhere did he go down here and build the Kaaba. It just never happened.
Right.
So Abraham did not build the Kaaba, man. You know what I mean? Historians trace Abraham's route, and you see it's that orange highlights. So what are we talking about, man? I mean, it's ridiculous. We're entertaining stupidity, man.
That's right.
All right. So now I'll read this. So this is a book called The Mecca Mystery by the author Peter Townsend. So why is it called Mecca Mystery? Because what a lot of Muslims don't tell you is that Mecca, there's a lot of flaws in it. They're like, you know, it's a place where everyone knew about, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? They taught highly of this place. In the Quran, you'll read it so much and you will get led astray. But what is the mystery that many Muslims don't want you to know? We're going to find out. So I'll read this. The Quran is remarkably decontextualized. Very few names, historical events are hardly mentioned. The Quran is deficient in the area of geographical and historical references, is quite staggering. So meaning reading the Quran to find out where these men are, you don't even know. So when a Muslim goes, this is Muhammad in Mecca saying this, how do you really know? It's a decontextualized book. Whereas in the Bible, Christ went to Galilee. Christ went to here. You know what I mean? You get the context. In the Quran, you don't. So how do you know where these men even are?
Right.
How do you know? You know what I mean? Your imam says this is where it was, this is where it happened. But reading the Quran and taking his a breakdown off the menu, how would you know? You wouldn't know. It just contains 150,000 words in Arabic, and 65 of these words are low occasions. Imagine that. So meaning 65 of these words are just locations. So one might be Mecca, one might be Medina. Only 65 words out of 150,000, meaning you don't really know where these men even are. The Gospels contain 10 times more locations and references, referencing a location every 200 words, man. Look at what the Bible does. In the Bible, while reading every 200 words, you get a location, man. Christ went to Galilee. You know what I mean? From Jerusalem to Judea to did it. You know what I mean? Within every 200 words, you get a location, man.
Right.
That's how great the Bible is, man.
That's right.
So now this is from the same book, page 48 to 50. Mecca is not mentioned in any correspondence, travel description, or gazetas, which are geographical dictionaries, or any type of historical source until 741, 109 years after Muhammad's death. So, meaning in the Quran, what does the Quran say about Mecca? Mecca is the mother of all cities, meaning what? It's a place everyone knew. That's what it says. But history says no one heard of the place. Even after Muhammad died, 109 years after his death, that's when people started to hear about it. Meaning the mother of all cities, it's a lie.
Right.
No one even knew the place. It was unknown. This is the city at the heart of Islam, the supposed mother of all cities. Patricia Crone points out in her book, Meccan Trade and the Writer Islam, Greek trading documents mention all trading cities. Mecca is never mentioned or heard of, man. Imagine that. This place that Muhammad was raised up in, everyone knew about it. No, they didn't, man. Where these travelers used to buy and sell, none of them heard of Mecca. It's not even on their maps. Like, you know what I mean? There's Mecca. It gets better. So here we go. Here's the map. You know what I mean? See, in the UPK, you know what I mean? This is man, they call the home of the truth for a reason, man. You know what I mean? A lot of you think we don't know these things. Believe me. In the UPK, Alex Joe Muhammad says we know everything, man. We got everything. So now this is a trade map. So meaning, you know, all throughout the Arabian world, this is where people used to buy and sell. So you know what I mean? All these lines are here. And look, with Mecca, Mecca's right here. And look, there's no line to Mecca, meaning no one went here. People brought and sold all here, past Mecca, all here, there. But no one went to Mecca. But in the Quran, this is a place of trade, big business. I mean, it's a mother of a place, meaning it's a place everyone's meant to know. But no one didn't know this place, which is what she found out. Like, hang on, like the Quran says this, but no one's heard of it. We have the maps of where people went, and people went past Mecca. It gets better. So now, this is so now with the north of Mecca, these are the empires, the Nabatea kingdoms, east of Mecca, the kingdom of Kinda, south of Mecca, the kingdom of Himyar, west of Mecca, Anubia, Ethiopia. And listen, none of these places heard of Mecca. They went through all the history, all these empires that ruled around Mecca. They never even heard of the place. They didn't even write about it. So the Quran's got a big flaw here, man.
Right.
They're talking about a place that everyone in the Quran knows, but no one didn't know about it. So to be blunt, Mecca is absent from historical records. So now let's get into some a problem with this. So 54 references in the Quran are given to three tribes: the people of Ad, the people of Thamud, and the Midianites. All these tribes live hundreds of miles north of Mecca in northern Arabia. So how could in the Quran Muhammad be in a contact with them when they don't live around him? He's dealing with people that don't live in Mecca. They don't. They live in northern Arabia, almost by the land of Israel. That's where these tribes live. So unless you had a helicopter going back and forth, you know what I mean? If it wasn't, then how did this happen? It didn't happen, and that's the problem. So now I want us to use our imaginations, yeah? So, I want us just to, think. So now, by reading what the life of Muhammad says, by reading what the Hadith say, the uh, Quran says, yeah? Let's use our imaginations and let's see how the birthplace of Muhammad is written about and described. And let's use our imaginations, yeah? So, we don't need to read all this. So, when they came to Mecca, they saw a town blessed with a water and a trees. So keep that in mind now. With Mecca, water and trees. Just keep that in your mind, yeah? In the Quran, when Muhammad is checking a pagan, saying, it's Allah who sends down rain from the sky. Keep that in mind. So a place that has water and trees receives rain. The growth of all things, remember now, the greenery produce grain, palm trees, emerging fruits, clusters hanging low. The gardens of the grapevines and the olives, the pomegranates. So keep in mind now, in the Quran, according to what we are reading, Mecca should have water and trees, rain, a produce. But here's the problem. This is a book called Quranic Geography, written by Dan Gibson. And let me tell you something, Muslims hate this man. But with valid reason. So now this is what he said. The presence of trees and plants can easily be attested by the presence of spores and pollens in undistributed ancient soil. To date, there is no record of a tree having ever existed in Mecca. So what the hell are we talking about, man?
Right.
Muhammad's talking about, we got this tree and this and that, and no, you don't. Trees don't grow in Mecca, man. There is no way that the crops of the mushrikun, meaning the farmers, was having grapes, grain, olive, pomegranates, could have flourished in Mecca. And that's what Dan Gibson found is like, what they're talking about is not here. Get some more. Let's get into the facts. Now these are the facts. To date, there is no record of trees having ever existed in ancient Mecca. That's a flaw, man. The Quran's talking about stuff that don't exist.
Right.
Mecca yearly. Now, keep in mind, this is yearly. Only average 11 centimeters of rain a year, man. Meaning Mecca doesn't rain like that. Rain doesn't come down on Mecca. So what's Muhammad talking about? He makes the rain come down, man.
Right.
We're talking about that 11 centimeters a year rain or something. What was he talking about, man?
Right.
Mecca don't even rain like that. So in the Quran, what's Muhammad even talking about, man?
Right.
All this greenery and palm trees and stuff that it could have never happened. So it's very unlikely that all the trees and fruits could have been grown in Mecca. And this is what people found out, man. And if look, we'll even take it to the hadiths. So this is Sahih al-Bukhari 35891, blah, blah, blah. So Amir came from the valleys of Mecca. The valleys of Mecca. A valley is a way in between two mountains. Sahih Bukhari 226, 685. He used to run in the midst of the rain, a water, a passage. Are you sure? You sure? I don't know about that. What do we mean the water passage of the 11 centimeters of rain? I don't see that, man. Now here's the problem. Mecca is a flat surface land, no valleys, and hardly rains. So what's the Quran and these hadiths talking about?
Right.
That on this land, people are doing stuff, describing journeys that, don't make sense.
Right.
So what does this really mean, man? Listen, with the UPK, man, they're gonna bring it home, yeah? So now here's some more issues. So in the Quran, if you want to read it for me, got it.
Quran 37, verse 133 to 135. And indeed, Lot was among the messengers, so mentioned when we saved him and his family, all except his wife, among those who remained with the evildoers. Then we destroyed the others, and indeed you passed by them in the morning.
You do what?
You passed by them in the morning
And reader.
and at night.
Whoa. That's a problem, man. Lot and his wife and the a pillar of salt, which the claim is his wife. If you live in Mecca, you ain't passing by that day and night.
Right.
That's a contradiction. What the hell is he talking about? In Mecca, you ain't passing Sir Adam and Gomorrah day and night. So what the hell is Muhammad talking about, man?
Right.
We're gonna bring it home, man. You know what I mean? So now I'll explain. So the reason why the Quran geography is so messed up is because Muhammad is talking about a place that is the mother of all cities. That is a further north. So meaning he's talking about a place really, but it's not Mecca, man.
Right.
Now remember, the Quran came after Muhammad. So you know what I mean? So what these dumb Arabs do, they make it seem like Mecca, but Muhammad obviously is not talking about Mecca, man.
Right.
It's clear this man cannot be talking about his place because hills ain't there, valleys ain't there, the rain, you know what I mean? There's clearly some errors here.
Right.
So let's go back to Quran in early manuscripts. Read that for me. This on page 16.
The archaeology of Mecca does not support the traditional assertion.
Mhm.
The Qiblahs in all the early mosques have a process in change of direction. Muhammad designated the Qibla first towards Jerusalem, then towards Mecca in his lifetime.
Meaning what? The Quran's talking about Jerusalem, man.
That's right.
That's why you can see Lot's wives, or what they claim is a pillar of salt day and night, if you live in Jerusalem.
Right.
In Jerusalem, there's hills, there's valleys, there's fruits, there's pomegranates. That's where you'll find those things. But Mecca, you ain't gonna find that.
That's right.
The Quran don't make no sense. So let's get into what Arabs done to us. So this is a trans-Saharan slave trade right here. Like it says at the bottom, many Muslims don't even know Arab slavery of black people even exists. And let me tell you something. You can look it up on YouTube. A survey was done in America, and the survey was many black Muslims. They asked them, so why did you leave the church? Like, I mean, what was your reason for leaving the church and joining Islam? And all the Muslims said, well, listen, that Bible has enslaved my people for over 400 years. All the black Muslims said that. And guess what? None of them knew about what the Arabs did. None of them. So you mean it's something they love to hide, man. And there you go. This is what you call a slave caravan right here. So they're gonna transport them somewhere and they're gonna sell all of them, man, around the Sahara Desert. They make them walk for that hot sun, man. If you want to read that for me. So this is from The Legacy of Islam in Africa, page 146.
Common folklore believe the reason for being enslaved according to the holy law is merely that a man should be black in color.
Ooh, imagine that, man. That's what Arabs thought about you, man.
Right.
That's what Arabs thought about me. That listen, you're allowed to be a slave. Why? Because your color's black, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not for what you did, not for who you are. They believe that if you are black, that qualifies you to be a slave, man.
That's right.
And listen, man, as a black man, if you're in the mosque, shame on you, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't care about you. This is history. They'll never want you to read. Why? Because it shows them for who they really are, man.
That's right.
Read on.
And come from those regions. The holiest city of Islam, Mecca, became the center of the slave trade in the world.
And imagine that Mecca, that place, black men go to do Hajj. That was the center slave trade of the world, man. Meaning slaves got sold there to where it was the slave center of the world, man. People talk about the transatlantic slave trade. Mecca was the slave center of the world, man. Meaning millions of slaves got sold there, man.
Right.
Reader.
And remained so until the 20th century.
Ooh, into the 1900s, man. Damn. Why don't they talk about this, man?
Right.
Reader.
It became custom for pilgrims to take slaves for sale in Mecca or buy one or two slaves on Hajj.
There you go. And Hajj meant to be religious, man. And you buy a slave on Hajj, man. Why are you doing Hajj? Like, you know what? I'll take him that one there, man. Yeah, man, yeah, man, yeah, man. Or when you was going to do your Hajj, you would bring slaves with you. Listen, man, Islam is trash, man.
That's right.
You know what I mean? They've lied to black people for hundreds of years, man. Had us brainwashed thinking if you leave the Bible, you found something new, and you did not, man.
That's right.
All right, so this is a book called The Black Holocaust for Beginners, meaning it's a very basic book, and it goes into what Arabs thought about black people. If you want to read that for me.
Arab poet al-Sayyid al-Himari, 723 to 89. The blacks do not earn their pay by good deeds and are not of good repute.
Mm-hmm.
The children of stinking Nubian black, God put no light in their complexion.
And listen, man, this alone should make you put that a Quran down, man.
That's right.
Imagine that. Look. This Arab, a poet, Al-Sayyid, follows Islam like you do, man.
Right.
And he believes, listen, man, God put no light in your complexion. He's not saying, you're dark skinned because that's how God wants you. He's saying it like it's a curse, like, God put no light in them, man. Listen, man, you know what I mean? This alone would make me want to leave the mosque.
Right.
Personally. That listen, he's following Islam like you, but look at how he feels about you, man.
Right.
Reader.
Sharaf al-Zaman Tahir Mavazi makes it clear that blackness by 1120 AD is negative and thought of as a defect.
Oh no, imagine that, man. Remember this? In the reincarnation, this man might be in the mosque with you, man.
Right.
And look at what he thinks about you. That it's negative and thought of as a defect, man. Meaning my black skin, according to him, is a defect. Meaning there's something wrong with me, man.
Right.
I'm a defect. And this is what Arabs thought while they was in the mosque, man. While they done their Hajj, man. While they read the Quran and their Hadiths, man.
Right.
And this is something we gotta wake up to. Islam is not a black man's religion, man.
That's right.
Islam is for the supremacy of Arabs, man.
That's right.
Read on.
Governments wore black to inspire subjects with awe and fear.
So meaning when they wanted to make someone afraid, they would wear black, man. Like, you know what I mean, look, you don't want to be like them. And they would wear black to make people afraid. That's how much they hated black people, man.
Right.
That's how much they hated black skin, that to even make other people afraid, they would wear black. And listen, man, this happened under Islam, man. Under all love in Islam. Let's get the next one. Read that for me.
This by God's life is one of the foulest and gravest evils perpetuated upon God's religion. For the people of the Sudan are Muslims, having the same rights and responsibilities as ourselves. Whoever maintains the opposite is denying the basic condition.
So meaning what? When Islam started to get into Africa, when it started to convert Africans, the Muslims in the Arab world, they was upset, man. Like, what? You taught the Sudanese Islam, and they was heartbroken. Meaning what? They knew that Islam was for them, man. They knew Islam was for Arabs, man.
Right.
They knew it wasn't for you, and that's why they was upset, man. Like, they got the same rights and responsibilities as us. You gave them our religion. It's saying whoever maintains the opposite is denying the basic condition. Meaning, if you deny this, you're a liar, man.
Right.
If you come against this, guess what? You're biased, man.
Right.
So when dark-skinned people were converted to Islam, Arabs were disgusted and hurt by it. And this is from a book, A Short History of Slavery, page 34, man. You know what I mean? Now let's Well, actually, no. I'll quote. So from that same book, A Short History of Slavery, page 32 to 33, the prime driving force behind the enslaving of a women was their employment in sexual device. Meaning what? Okay, with the white man or with the British Empire, when slavery came about, they wanted men. Why? Because men could work on the plantation. That was their goal. Listen, we need men. Arabs wanted women for raping and sexual device and pissing on them and defecating on them. And if you don't believe me, even till this day, listen, mark my words. In the UK right now, there are women. They get their flight paid to go to Saudi Arabia, and one sheikh. I want to say one sheikh. I'm not saying literally one sheikh, and they pay for these women to come to Saudi Arabia to be with them, so that they can fulfill their eat some evil lust, man. There are shit on these women. There are black women in the UK that somehow they managed to come into contact with Sheikh Mohammed in Saudi Arabia and is rich, and his fantasy is to shit on a black woman, and he pays them big money. I'm not lying. There's many women that can tell you he pays big money to piss on them. Meaning he'll pay for your flight, your hotel, and you go in his mansion, and his fantasy is to piss on them. And listen, I am serious as Sam. I'm not joking. You can look it up. They'll pay the flight, so they'll be online. They see a black woman they like, hello baby, yeah man, I like it. I pay you 20 grand if you let me, take a dump on you, man. You know what I mean? And it sounds bad, but some women are actually doing it. And they're not shy about it. Neither. Like, yeah, man, I watch the afterwards, but I got the money. And guess what? They're doing that till this day, man. Only thing now is they pay. While as back then, that woman was a captive and they did it and didn't have to pay. But now they pay women, man. They're all over Facebook, all over social media, trying to find women that they can do it to. And I'm not making it up. All right. So these are some hadiths where Muhammad had slaves himself. So this is Sahih, a Muslim, meaning this is the man that compiled his book of hadiths, and chapter 10, section 3901, where Muhammad had slaves. Sahih Bukhari 873 and line 182. He had slaves that one used to ride his camels, and he got mad with him. If you read this one. So this is talking about Muhammad here, this hadith here.
Allah's apostle was on a journey, and he had a black slave called Anjasha.
Mm-hmm.
And he was driving the camels very fast. And there were women riding on those camels. Allah's apostle said, Wahaika, may Allah be merciful to you, O Anjasha. Anjasha, drive slowly the camels with the glass vessels, woman.
There, so listen, man. This slave was riding camel fast. Like, listen, man, stop, man. You're gonna hurt these women, and it's in the hadith that Muhammad had slaves, man.
Right.
So, what are we doing, man? So this is from the same book, Short History of Slavery, page 32. So how did Muslim society make black people feel? So now listen now. So while the Arab Empire ruled Africa and certain parts, of course, they stripped the Africans of their religion and they was following Islam. And now in their own lands, they were subject to Arab rule. And let's see how it made them feel. Let's see if it uplifted them and they loved Islam. Read that for me.
How did Muslim society make black people feel? African poet Sahayam, who died in 680. If my color were pink, woman would love me, but the Lord has married me with blackness.
So hang on now. Arab society made this man think, I need to be pink, man. Everyone would love me if I was pink, but the Lord marred me with blackness. Meaning what? Islam didn't uplift this man.
Right.
This man wasn't uplifted by the knowledge of Islam. They beat him down, man, to where he thought, you know what? If I look like something else, maybe the people might love me, man. Read on.
Poet Nasayab Ibn Rabah, blackness does not diminish me as long as I have this tongue and this stout heart.
There again, this is another man beat him down by a Muslim community, man. Like you mean, I know I'm black, but it don't diminish me. I'm a nice person. Listen, being nice has nothing to do with being, you know what I mean, with like being black, man.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with that. But listen, a Muslim community broke this man's self-esteem, man. That's why he wrote this a poem. He's writing it. Why? Because he's in pain, man. This did not uplift. Islam did not uplift any of these societies, man.
Right.
Read on.
Black poet wrote this after being goaded with racial insult.
And there you go. And if you research it, he wrote that after being goaded with racial insults by who? Arabs, man.
Right.
Read on.
Though my hair is woolly and my skin coal black, my hand is open and my honor bright.
I mean, I'm a nice person. I know they don't like my blackness, but at least see me for being a nice person. Imagine that, man. How is Islam going to uplift us? When look, these men lived under Islam rule, man.
Right.
And look what it did to them. It broke them, man. It broke these men to where they thought being black, or when I say black, having dark skin was some defect or something was wrong, man.
Right.
So I'll read the last bit. Islam broke the self-esteem of black societies. Fact. Now, I would have had videos. Now, let's get into it, man. How does it affect us today? This is why black people under Islam hate, kill, and sell drugs to each other. Why? Because this is a hateful religion, man.
Right.
It's a violent religion. Now, let's look at UK Islam culture. So this is an article. I'll break it down for you. So in prison, there is Muslim gangs forcing people to follow Islam, man. Meaning if you don't follow Islam, they're going to kill you in prison. That's why in prison, you notice that the rise of Islam's gotten big, and it's not because people believe in it. People are following Islam in prison to survive, man. They're following it. Why? Because they believe, listen, if I don't, they're going to kill me, man.
Right.
They're going to rob me and beat me up. And then the reason why this article was made, because a pastor, Paul Song, spoke out against Muslim extremists in a prison after he was dismissed from Brixton, a prison in London. Song was kicked out by a Muslim imam who had taken over as head a chaplain and disapproved of the pastor's Christian courses. Imagine that, man. The Muslim kicked out a Christian. So now what do you think he's doing? He's teaching everyone Islam, man.
Right.
This is the Guardian right here. So now it goes, teenage criminal gangs in South London are calling themselves the Muslim Boys and claiming to espouse Islam in an attempt to gain street credibility and trade on false perceptions about links to terrorism. So look, man, this is what Islam produces right here, man. In London, and you know what I mean, I'm not the youngest guy, but I remember when this happened. You know what I mean, back in the day, there was a Brixton rap group called PDC. If you ever heard of them before, PDC. Yeah, I mean, you're too young, quite as well, man. Nah. So basically, in London, there was a rap group called PDC, and I remember all of them was talking about Islam. And listen, man, like, look, this is what it produced. And listen, those brothers sold drugs, man, shut the place up, killed people under Islam. The gang who specialize in robbing local drug dealers are alleged to have forced some members to convert at gunpoint and to pray before going out to commit crimes, man. And listen, I remember that. I remember that era, the early 2000s. But listen, people was forcing you to follow Islam. On a crime watch around that time, there was a Muslim gang in London, and it said, "This boy, listen, you better convert or die." And he did not. And in the morning, do you know what they did? They kicked down his door, ran up in his house, and shot him in his bed, man. And he died because he didn't want to follow Islam, man. This is what Islam does, man. Islam does not benefit black people, man. It destroys us.
That's right.
As what we're reading. Community leaders are worried about escalating violence and the number of young with access to high caliber guns. And listen, all this is under Islam, man. And look, who are these people here, man? I'll start from the bottom. So the guy at the bottom, I believe the Hamite is called Hedi One. He's a Muslim. On the right, you have Kreptan Ekonan. Those two brothers are Benjamites. They follow Islam. On the left, you got a group called Six Evan. And guess what? They're in the mosque too, man. And what do all of them have? All these rappers in the UK have in common, besides glorifying dealing, killing, and promoting immoral living, they are all Muslims, man.
Right.
Don't you see a problem there? All of them are doing the same thing. And what links them all together? That mosque, man.
Right.
It shows that Islam does not benefit black people, man.
That's right.
So I'm break this down then. Let's close out. So in Washington, D.C., this is the Islamic Center of Washington. Now, for those of you that don't know, on the Western Hemisphere, this is the biggest mosque ever built. So, of course, in Saudi Arabia and in Jerusalem, they got big mosques. But in the Western world, this is the biggest mosque. And let me tell you something. In D.C., black poverty is through the roof. You know what I mean? You can look it up. Black poverty in DC is ridiculous. Of course, the white man's a devil, you know what I mean?
Right.
But look, you know what I mean? There's poverty. Listen now, they brought this big mosque. Let's see if it helped us. So these are the founders of this DC mosque. Mehmet Manor Ertegun and Kamil Abdul Rahim. So these are the founders of the DC mosque. Now look, 32,000 children in the nation's capital live below the federal poverty line, man. And look, you got this big mosque. And listen, they don't help us. How do you have the biggest mosque in the Western Hemisphere in Washington, D.C.? And look, many of the children of Israel are living below the poverty line, man.
Right.
You're telling me out of that big mosque, you couldn't feed them.
Right.
You couldn't help them out. When considered, that's roughly 26% of the under 18 population of DC. You know what I mean? So meaning what? We are poor in DC and Islam does not help us, man.
That's right.
So let's get into the Nation of Islam. You know what I mean? This is the, you know what I mean, Elijah Muhammad and, you know, all that stuff. So the Nation of Islam, again, the Nation of Islam, you can look it up. It's one of the wealthiest organizations in Black America. And let's see what they did, man. They sold drugs and killed, man. They even killed Malcolm X. So Malcolm X was named Minister of Temple number 12 by Elijah Muhammad. When Malcolm X left the Nation of Islam, he started a Sunni Muslim mosque named Muslim Mosque Inc. In 1974, 4 members of Mosque number 12 were charged with killing the family of Hamas Abdul Khalis at the Hanafi American Muslims Rifle and Pistol Club. Khalis was a leader of the Hanifs, a Sunni Muslim school of the jurisdiction Fiqh, and the killers were upset by the letters he had written that attacked Elijah Muhammad. And listen, they killed a man over what he written, man. They're gangbanging in the name of Islam, man. This is how you know Islam doesn't benefit us, man. Look. Malcolm X was killed by these same Muslims, man.
Right.
I'll give you a fact. That picture that everyone loves about Malcolm X, where it has that rifle by a window, people look at that picture and like it. It has that rifle. Why? Because the Muslims were trying to kill him. And that's why he had the rifle and he's opening the a curtain on the window because they were driving by his house, man. That's what these Muslims don't like to admit. But that's the class. You know what I mean? I hope you enjoyed it. And with that, stop the screen share. So that's the class. And with that, I'm handing it over to Priest and Officer of 50 Kwanzaa.
Clap it up for the captain. Right. This is the ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for a new brother or sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They have to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which a brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 to 10, means 10th in Hebrew. Ma'ashara, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to church your department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations.
Feast of Trumpets.
Feast of Trumpets. When is it? You know?
It's on the calendar. So it's on, we'll get the date for you, right? Bear with us 1 second.
Sunday, 25th of September. All Akim and Akaf had to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. So that we say Majim, Shabbat, Majim, Barak, Yahweh Bar Shimya, Shai Barakatah.
Yahweh Bar Shimya, Yahweh Shai Barakatham.
Yajimatah, classes miss.
All right.